Hi, everybody. How are you doing? I'm speaking to you right now as a personal Xiaoan, also my professional hat. Personally speaking, if I may ask you for your permission to be vulnerable by telling you I'm a little nervous right now. My Chinese background, Confucius teaching has taught me to be very reserved with wording. Slow to the words, cautious to action. Now, God's second language is actually silence. So I've been telling my friends here, I'm more than willing to listen more fully to you, what you have to say. Okay? But then Laura's introduction made me even more nervous in a way. But on the other hand, if I put my Fetzer hat on, professionally speaking, I'm extremely proud to be able to stand in front of you. I'm very grateful for this opportunity and very proud to be part of this amazing gathering right now. How many of you would agree this is amazing? We should thank everybody on Green Heart and on the team, the effort they put into this. It's amazing. You should. Thank you, I feel better already. So I'm here to talk about the Institute. I think it's an amazing place. And maybe I will focus a little bit on the democracy work that we are working very hard on, knowing what's going on in this country. So let's get started. Bear with me, okay? Who we are is a question for us as individuals, and also for an organization like Fetzer. We are located in Kalamazoo, Michigan. We got some snow right now. So how we work, what we do, and then in the end, some time to spend on democracy, particularly our effort focused on inner life development with leaders. It's a private operating foundation, which is different from a grant-making foundation, meaning we have a unique approach to the world by contracting external partner for the service. We don't just give out a grant, but rather we work with many other partners to advance our own mission. Talking about an organization, we have to talk about the founder. Just like if we talk about ions, you will just have to talk about Edgar Mitchell. Talk about Green Heart International, you have to know a little bit about Emmanuel and Laura. So there's something about the founder. And the vision, they see the world. They can see what we cannot see right now. So let me spend a little time to talk about Mr. Fetzer, John Edward Fetzer, a great man born in the year of 1901, had a life near-death incident when he was very little. But that really served as a trigger for him to become extremely curious about, okay, I survived right now, then what is my purpose in this world? He started from a Christian tradition, but he started to become extremely curious and seeking purpose and meaning in his life. So he embraced wisdom of many other major traditions. In the end, if I may say, he became equally comfortable calling that mighty divine mystery, use his word, can be God, can be Holy Spirit, or simply love. We use love, the word love, a lot at the Institute. In Mr. Fetzer's word, love is the core energy that holds us all together. In his 90s, he passed away in 1991, in his last year, a very young little kid asked Mr. Fetzer, Mr. Fetzer, you have everything in the world, why are you still working so hard? Mr. Fetzer said, which I loved very much, I consider this life on earth for service. I will leave the rest for my next life. And before he passed away, he shared with the community, which I will always remember something about. Whatever the final verdict will be, the summary will be unconditional love. I mean, it's just amazing the way he said it, and also the way he talked about founder, how the founder place become a phenomena, but they had to practice the sense of letting go and detach it. That requires humility, generosity, and trust. So during his last year, I remember what I read. He said something, if you listen, you will hear the rain of truth. First and foremost, trying to create the community of freedom. It is through the community freedom the Fetzer Institute will discover its mission moving forward. So he recognized this is more than just one lifetime effort. It's an effort of many lifetimes. You see, he passed away 20 years ago. Me, as a younger generation of community member, still trying to understand how best I can continue the legacy of such a great man who loves everyone, expand their love in the way how he served the world. So I think that's precious to talk about Mr. Fetzer in a way to help you understand why we're doing what we're doing right now. So we're more than just an organization. It's very much a community of love. With that, I'm inviting all of you, if the opportunity presents themselves, to Fetzer Institute yourself, pay a visit. You can feel that love very strongly. Has been many iterations of missions, like many other organizations. If you are familiar with the Fetzer Institute, we have the triangle, mind, body, and spirit. Mind, body, and medicine. Mind, body, and healing. It's amazing work, working with ions and so many others. But right after September 11th, 2001, in response to something like that, the Institute, post Mr. Fetzer era, changed the mission to foster awareness of the power of love and forgiveness in the emerging global community. We just feel we need more love and forgiveness in response to something like that. So we worked very hard on it to try to find examples where love and forgiveness most manifested themselves in the world, try to use the positive psychology. If we are aware of the power of that, then how we will naturally be drawn to that, to be more like that. Hopefully, those can be replicated in many other parts of the world. Since year of 2013, our new president and CEO, Bob Boyster, came on board. He asked the question, we're supposed to be more loving and caring, right? But then what is calling us to be more loving and caring? I'm a Christian myself. I understand there are 9 fruits, including more patient, loving, self-control. I can do that, I'm supposed to do that. It's because the association, connection with the Holy Spirit. Or you may, from different origin of source, that you are supposed to behave like this, like the outer action of service. It's because there's inner connection with something bigger than us, more powerful than us. So Bob has been leading us to really go back to the root. If we're supposed to be more loving and caring, what is calling us to be that way? What foundation is necessary for us to be more loving and caring? He said, it's got to be a spiritual foundation for a more loving world. So that's our mission. Laura, thanks to you for introducing that. It's very, very lofty mission statement. How are we going to operationalize that? It's a beautiful statement. I feel like to read it very carefully to you. Our goal is to help catalyze and support a broad-scale, spiritually grounded transformation from an ego-centered way of being grounded in separation and fear to an all-centered way of being grounded in wholeness and love, with the result that a critical mass of persons around the world embrace love as the guiding principle and animating force for living in a sacred relationship with spirit, self, others, and the natural world. Let's break it down just a little bit. Is that okay with you? We're talking about theory of change, from isolation, fear, and separation, division, to a sacred relationship and community. I'd like to ask you to work with me right now. Think about a moment that you acted this way, or someone you know. Lack of self-awareness and self-purpose, feel fearful, angry, divided, and hopeless, and act in self-interest. On one hand, this is a global movement, a spiritual foundation. But it's so true, can be very much connected at any moment in our life. We have the choice. We can make conscious choice at any moment of our life to make that movement from this ego-centered place for most self-interest, so this place of love. I want you to think about a moment. When was the moment most recently that you feel that you embrace love? You put others, community, the greater good first. Think about a moment. Then knowing and observing how your body feels. Basically, the triangle again, what we are looking for is a personal transformation, and it's got to be some kinds of connective societal transformation. Then we're always interested in supporting this relationship between science and spirituality, and how we can support a fuller understanding of our existence. And I'm not going to go too much detail into this, being very mindful of our time. There's so much we can do, and we would love to work with everybody, but the reality is we have to stay focused sometimes. So that we have chosen some, we believe, important sectors and the demographics in order to have that tipping point and the critical mass transformation. And if you happen to be one of those sectors, demographics, in a way that you think you can join us or we can join you, ask me or talk to me after this. Let's talk about democracy just a bit. I have a couple minutes here. Democracy, let's just see, it's not about what's going on in the current administration, because that's too limiting. A lot of times, as soon as we talk about that, we got caught up too easily by pointing the finger. You see, ha, 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 ha. That's the problem. We don't want to do that. Albert Einstein said, we cannot solve problems with the same thinking we had when we created them. It's got to be a new way of looking at the things, and in what ways that we can do this more differently. Okay? We are part of the problem, guys. But at the same time, we can be part of the solutions. Okay? If we use this triangle again, democracy at Fetzer's standpoint means to support spiritual and moral virtue all people can embody. That's at the personal level. At this societal level, we can strengthen public commitment to sets of shared virtue, civic virtues, and create a vision an inclusive America. What makes America America? What makes America a great country and the way it should be? with Fetzer's support, I'm very gracious for Emmanuel and Greenheart willing to embrace this national purpose as a real context for our personal purpose, because it's so real. So what is the relationship between spirituality and democracy? We're going to have a panel discussion tomorrow focused on this topic. Then what is the role of the inner life and the leadership? I will tell you some concrete ideas that we are working on, so you know what do we mean by healing the heart of US democracy. I'm working on a project. It's a multi-million-dollar project with K-12 kids. Basically working with Stephen Rockefeller and Lisa of Teachers College. We like to develop a new curriculum. In a way, if you are educated, you probably know John Dewey. John Dewey, a great progressive education pioneer. He said, the core mission of education is to instill the seeds of democracy into the heads and the soul of young people. Democracy, according to John Dewey, it's a way of life, it's a way of being. Democracy is not the current, what we like to point to. This country the model was created as a great experiment by our founding fathers. It's meant to be experiment. There's a chance of failing it, since it's experiment. However, if we look beyond the current model, which is limiting our thinking, how about what is the democracy you like to see in the world? What do they look like? Then what the relationship between spiritual principle and the democratic values? If we think out of that box a little, can really help us. What's the shared vision we like to see? So that's one piece. We really like to change the curriculum, public school, independent, private school, that really instill this democracy, how the kids, they live a democratic lives. The voices are valued, are heard. They get to exercise the right since the very beginning. So that's project number one. It's very exciting. I can tell you more about it. We also support a lot of conferences, including this one, and also higher education. Ashoka University Exchange, we support that really try to bring civic virtues back to higher education curriculum. We also just finished the Detroit Independent Sector Conference. We're working with the leaders in voluntary sector, try to help them with the inner life development. And also, most recently, we organized many Michigan dinners in rural Michigan by bringing people from left, right, together through meal so they can carry a civic and normal conversation, which a lot of us forgot to do that already. So there's so many exciting projects going on. I'm running out of time, seriously. So so I guess that's it. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.